you so much for joining us today. My name is Marita Sandoval, and I work with the recruitment team here at CTA. Some of you probably don't know, but we do host monthly job fairs, and today is a very, very special one because we will be featuring two of our CTA veterans. We will also be giving you a CTA overview, talk about some job opportunities, the application process, and also provide you with some interview tips. You may notice that your microphone is muted, but we did that just to prevent any audio interference. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please make sure you use the Q&A function through Zoom, and we will make sure we answer them at the end of the presentation. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge all the veterans that are here with us today and thank you for your service. I'll turn it over to Brandon.
Okay, thanks, Marite, and thanks everybody for being here. My name is Brandon Jones. I am a CTA recruiter. We're going to talk a little bit about CTA, a bit about some jobs we have available, some features that are unique to veterans, and the hiring process as a whole, including some tips directly from me, a recruiter who actually conducts the interviews. So the next thing we should talk about is the mission statement here at CTA. Our mission statement is to deliver quality, affordable transit services that link people, jobs, and communities. And that means quite a bit to me because I am the person who links jobs to the service in the communities. I take CTA, so I'm very invested in who we hire. So let's talk a little bit about CTA as a whole. CTA is about 10,000 total employees. We have union employees like our operators and our non-union employees like yours truly. CTA serves the Chicago city area and 35 surrounding suburbs. So if it's happening in the Chicagoland area, we can get you there with our 130 bus routes over 8 rail lines. When you work for CTA, you can work anywhere in the city. I'm based at 567 Lake Street, which is our headquarters. But if you're an operator, you can be at any one of our 7 bus garages, any one of our 9 rail terminals. We have the control center, which is also located in the near downtown area, and a bunch of different offices throughout the city. So depending on what it is that you do, you could be anywhere working in the area working for CTA. Let's talk about some of the opportunities here at CTA. We've got 6 lines of business that cover a lot of ground, some that include opportunities you might not even think about when you think about working at CTA. So, of course, everybody knows our operators. They're the first people you see when you take CTA every day. But CTA also has a vehicle maintenance team that keeps our buses and trains going every day, as well as our own infrastructure crew that handles construction and a lot of the engineering things that you see with CTA. We also have our own law department, as well as a technology team that handles both hardware and software, as well as networks. And also the administration, which serves as the connective tissue throughout the organization and includes your friendly neighborhood recruiters. Excuse me. So let's talk about a couple of jobs that I know very well as a recruiter. I do interviews for bus operators 3 days a week, and in my sleep. As this brief description says here, we need our bus operators to operate a bus over an established route in a safe and courteous, efficient manner. We start our operators out at $23.44 an hour. It starts as a part-time role, but that's up to 32 hours in a week. Also, we are hiring for the bus mechanic. I'm a little less familiar with this, but I can tell you if you are familiar with diesel engines, we would certainly like to talk to you about this role. You're the people who keeps our buses on the road. This job starts at $29.82 an hour, and it is full-time. You can look for these individual jobs on our website, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go forward. So again, if you want to know a little bit about what we're doing, or a lot about what we're doing, you want to know where the jobs we're currently hiring for, you want to look at transitchicago.com/careers. You can find the posting expiration date, so when you have to have your application in by, and we don't play around with letting you know what we're paying for these roles, so you know whether or not it is worth your time. Spoiler, it is. We also have our upcoming jobs posted, so if you don't see anything that tickles your fancy right away on our career site, check out transitchicago.com/upcoming job opportunities. That'll let you know what's coming down the pike. So we want you to be well versed in whatever it is that we're doing. If you don't see anything posted right away, do check back. All right, so if you have any questions about what might work for you here at CTA, check out our full list of military occupational classifications. Here's a few that we have listed here. The website is transitchicago.com/careers/veterans. This is a very small list of what's here, and it's a good starting point for you to try to find the role that will suit you here at CTA. But again, that's just a beginning point. We hire veterans throughout the organization for all sorts of roles. So let's talk a little bit about the hiring process itself. There are certain things that everybody has to do when they apply for roles at CTA, some things that are only applicable for certain roles, but the process itself will take you about 4 to 6 weeks from the application to hire, depending, of course, on the role itself. So first, everybody who applies for a job at CTA applies through our Transit Chicago/careers. I'm pushing this heavily because I want everybody to know this is the way to get into the organization. Fill out a profile so that you only have to do it once. You need a resume. You need a resume. You need a resume for this process. But fill out your application. You can set up alerts to let you know when the jobs that you're interested for are coming down the pike. We'll make it really easy for you to apply if you fill out a profile here. You can make sure that you keep abreast of what's happening by checking the Transit Chicago careers and the upcoming opportunities site. So let's talk about the credential review, what you need to go through to make sure that you're ready to apply for these jobs. Do you qualify for the job? Make sure you've got the years of experience we're asking for, because if you don't, and it doesn't show up on your resume, that's why you need a resume, then we're probably not going to interview you. If you've got the ability to do the job, your resume and your application, your profile needs to reflect that. Is your resume current? Now, I can tell you some interviewers don't look at your resume at all. Some will look at it and know it better than you do. And if you have any gaps in that resume or anything that you've done that isn't written there, we're not going to ask you about it. We're not going to know. So it's really important that you let us know everything that you've done, and that needs to show up on your resume. Your resume needs to speak to the job you're applying for. You want to make sure that that resume points us to you as the perfect person for the job. If you don't have the skills that we're looking for reflected on that resume, we're probably not going to talk to you, and that's an opportunity wasted for us. So make sure that everything that you're capable of doing that reflects the role you're applying for shows up on that resume. And if the role requires a driver's license, you need to have a driver's license and a good record. Safety is #1 here at CTA, and we're not going to hire you if you don't have a good driving record. There are ways to clean it up, and there are things that that we can go over later with regards to the qualifications of a good driving record, but make sure that you set yourself up for success by knowing these things ahead of time. So some of these jobs have tests, but not all of them. The good thing about testing is if your role requires testing, you'll get the results in 7 to 10 days by email. We will not leave you hanging about how you did. And the results are valid for 3 years if you pass the test. If you don't do so well, you have to wait a year to apply again. But hey, at least you'll know what you need to do next time. So the interview process, let's talk a little bit about that because I know a few things about this. You're going to at least have 1 video interview. Likely you'll have a phone screen if the video interview is, if you need a second interview. The interviews are conducted with recruiters like me and someone from the department you'll be working in. They take about 30 to 40 minutes, and we've been doing them by Zoom. So make sure that you are on time. So we ask you questions about your work history, your skill set, and what you may have done in the past. Just a few questions to get to know you and your skill set a little bit better. Okay, so interview tips. Again, I conduct interviews, so I promise you these are ace. This is 100% good advice. Know the job description. Know what I'm asking you to do on the job so that you can talk about how you meet the requirements. If I have to ask you a bunch of leading questions, it's going to be difficult for both of us. So you should be able to speak and be ready to speak to your experience as it relates to the role. Log in early and test your connection to the video and your sound, please. Nothing is more frustrating than trying to get you set up. So if you've checked this ahead of time and you are ready to go at your interview time, this is gonna go really smoothly. Set up a quiet place to interview with minimal distractions. And this last year, we have learned that anything can possibly happen, and we'll roll with you on that. But set yourself up for success. Put yourself someplace quiet, shine the light on your face so I can see you. Set yourself up for success. Wear appropriate interview clothing. A collared shirt works well for the occasion for everybody. Present yourself in a polite and professional way. You're selling yourself in this process, and I want to buy. If I'm doing an interview, I'm looking for a way to hire you. So make sure you are setting yourself up for success in that same way. And provide answers about what you've done that demonstrate your experience. Again, if I had to ask you a bunch of questions to get to the thing that you've done, instead of you being ready to tell me about it, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us. So be ready to talk about what you've done and be proud of what you've done. So the process, the pre-employment process, we've got the background check, the medical, the drug test, the physical, employment and education verification. Everything isn't going to go with every job that you apply for, but I tell you what, the more complete you are in filling out this information as we go, the quicker the process goes inevitably. So you want to be as honest and as complete with this information as possible when you fill it out, okay? Next, let's talk a little bit about how this timeline goes. We've applied, we've tested and passed, we've gotten through that interview, and it's time for the onboarding. We've done our drug screens and fatigue training if necessary, and now it's time for new employee orientation. Once you've gotten through all of these things, we will bring you in and get you started training on your brand new role, because trust me, here at CTA, we're going to make sure you've got all the training you need. That's one of the benefits of working here. Support, I'm going to go to that middle one first. Support, training, and clear standards. We're not going to put you out there for any of these roles without making sure that you know exactly what we expect of you. Some of the other benefits of working here include provisions for military leave. We're going to make sure that you're accounted for when it's time for you to go serve. The Verge is something you might want to look into. They're the employee resource group, and they look out for veteran interests here at CTA. And some of the benefits that we all see here at CTA is free transit on CTA and PACE, and free medical benefits for full-time and part-time employees. So I want to take this time to hand it over to Mr. Robinson and Ms. McDonald.
Thank you, Brandon. So before we get to that, I do, we mentioned before that we're going to be interviewing some of our veterans with us today. But if you do have any questions for them or any general questions about the hiring process, please make sure you keep asking them at the Q&A function. We will make sure to address them after our interview. So thank you for that. All right, so I'd like to get started by having Brian and Deanne introduce themselves. So who would like to go first?
Ladies go first. Learn that in the military.
Thank you, Brian. Right. So my name's Deanne McDonald. I am currently the senior manager at 74th Street Garage and Maintenance. I started here as a mechanic, which is how I came out of the military. I was in the military as a supply specialist, warehouse supply, and my secondary MOS was light wheel mechanic. I ended my career in the military as the motor pool sergeant, and I was in the military for approximately 13 years.
Thank you, Deanne. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to our virtual military job fair. It's great to have this many participants along. I'm Brian Robinson. I'm a general manager in the bus maintenance department. I was in the Marine Corps. It was the only title we have in the Marine Corps. So it's just regular Marines every day. I was in the Marine Corps 23 years, and I got out of the service and took some time off traveling around a bit. And then I came back to Chicago and decided to get into something equal to public serving. And that was working with the CTA. I started as a manager here and through my military training and from leadership to just caring about people. I have progressed to the position that I have now as general manager. I've been with the CTA years, and I enjoy it. I'll leave the other questions to Maritain.
Thank you, Ryan.
Welcome again, everyone.
Thank you. Well, thank you for giving a background of what you did in the military. Now I'm going to dive into learn more about your experiences. So I'd like to start with Dion first. What do you like about your current role at CTA that reflects your military values?
I think the most prominent thing that I find that reflects it is, like I mentioned earlier, I was a motor pool sergeant, which is basically the same job as being a maintenance manager or a senior manager, because you have the same responsibilities as far as getting equipment repaired and doing preventive maintenance on those vehicles to make sure that they make it out and can do the job that we ask them to do on the street. So it's exactly the same thing that I went through for the 13 years that I was there, and I loved it there and I love it here.
Thanks for sharing that. Brian, would you like to share?
Absolutely. I guess supporting people and training, that those values are ingrained in us. Anybody who's on the call that is a veteran would know that, and that's what drives me every day is that equal ability and opportunity to train, help other people, learn from other people. Is actually the lateral training back and forth just makes you grow. And as you develop in the CTA and can get into other positions, that education can only be a plus. So what really reflects my military values is the opportunity to support someone and be supported.
Thank you. So one of the next questions we have is, what are the greatest benefits that CTA offers to veterans that help them in their career?
I would say to grow and to expand. I work with employees who started as servicing the buses or started as directing a train past the speedway, but now they're general managers. I work with employees that were on our apprentice program and now are managing in one of the maintenance departments. So to see that expansion and growth, that anybody that has changed ranks or changed positions like the service, I had an initial MOS of the 3529 bus maintenance personnel in the Marine Corps, but in the Marine Corps, I was a Marine security guard, I was a drill instructor, I was a recruiter, and I went to Iraq. So there was change, and that kind of same change helped me when I became a CTA employee, navigating the CTA and being able to extend myself to other opportunities, learn about other departments, which at court in the same instance as the Marine Corps did with different jobs that I had there, it made my main MOS stronger.
Thank you. Deanne, would you like to add on that?
Absolutely. I want to go all the way back to 23 years ago when I first put in an application for the job at CTA, and I was fresh out of the military. And the first thing that I had in mind was, this is a place that will give you more avenues than any other job that you can go to extend your knowledge. You get tired in this field, there's so many other veins that you can apply to go to other locations, to always be adding to your skill set. No matter what position you're in, there's somewhere else that you can go to find more knowledge and more of a challenge. And that's the best benefit that I got from CTA, was being able to expand and become better than I was yesterday. With the military, you get to evolve through rank. At CTA, you can evolve mentally through any vein in the authority to whatever your mind changes of what you feel like you want to do. And that was the best part that I thought fit for me in this CTA environment with my military background.
Great, thank you. And to jump on that, I do want to ask, what are the similarities between CTA culture and military culture?
It's canningly the same. There are divisions, there are companies and units, and all of that is what CTA is. And each unit helps the next unit be better at what they're doing. So a lot of people like to call it siloing, but I don't think it's really that. Everybody has their job description and nobody knows what the other section is doing. But once you start to find out what those sections are doing, it makes you better at doing your job in your section. And that's what I found out about the military. And you always thought in the military, there were 3 sections that you never wanted to make mad. And that was the cooks, the maintenance, and supply. You always need us. So this is perfectly the same as the military to me. When I got here, I was like, oh my goodness. I left the military and signed my life away to something else, but it's still the best thing since sliced bread for me.
Man, couldn't be said better, Dion. I could talk about that question forever, but I guess my top 3 is it's multicultural, just like the Marine Corps. And that's a great thing. When I first joined the Marine Corps, growing up in Southside Chicago, was my first interaction with most of my interactions were with people of other nationalities, was teachers and coaches that I had in sports. But the multicultural asset is excellent. It was excellent in service and maybe better, and it's the same here in the CTA. CTA, I think, second challenging. It aligns with the military. Military obviously is challenging from the boot camp to the last day. I think I worked 20 hours my last day on the job. So it's quite challenging, and it's quite challenging here at the CTA can be, because we're delivering quality service to people who may not have a car and need that transit to keep their lives tied together. And the different changes, I think I mentioned them before. It's the same. You have the chance to change, and you have a chance to stay put. And that's a great opportunity to have in the military as well as the CTA.
Thanks for sharing that. So you both had different roles in the military. I do want to ask, how did your career in the military prepare you for what you do now at TTA, or what made you start CTA?
Deanna, you want to take that first?
Sure. Like the most important thing was, like Brian was saying, the fact that in the military, you meet all types of people from everywhere around the world, and it enhances your ability to deal with different personalities and different cultures. And it transfers over so well with CTA because you have so many different people. There are even people from other states, other countries that come to work at CTA because we are such a great company. So it helps you to adapt, and you have the skill set to know the difference between talking to this person this way and talking to this person this way. And it works out, it transfers very well from the military because you know how to address different areas in culture.
One great answer, Dion. I was going to talk a little bit about the same thing, but I do find another thing that is excellent transition from the military to CTA, or prepare what happened to me in the military to prepare me for the CTA, is the high speed. The high speed of the military. When I became a CTA employee, people that weren't veterans were running around a little bit more out of sorts, and we were more paced. And we were like, this is not really that fast, because we were used to being in the military where we had to be on one end of the base and then about 45 minutes on the other end. And then you figure out how to get there on time. So we moved so fast in the service that when I got here, the CTA was seemed kind of smooth, and I was more adapt to the speed, which there is speed here. But my military training and education, the multilateral training, where we had those institutions of the corporal's course and the sergeant's course and the leadership courses that expanded all the way to a full 20-something year career, where you were getting leadership training all the way at the end. That transitions and prepares you to take leadership roles at the CTA level faster than most, and more smoothly transition, I would say. But those were the best things that prepared me, was the high speed of the service, because the CTA didn't seem that fast to me, but when it seemed fast to others, and the training that I received in the military in the leadership area helped me to become real smooth to transition to a leadership role with the CTA.
Thank you for touching base on that. That actually follows up with my next question. What advice would you give a veteran who's considering a job at CTA? You know, we do have some folks here in the audience who may be veterans. So what would you tell them?
Bring your leadership. That's and the attitude. I would say best advice is the attitude, where I would say that in my Marine Corps career, I heard some complaining, but obviously in any job or any organization, there's some complaining. But once Marines got there to the starting line, not only did we complete these missions, we were having actual joy in delivering it. So bring that transition, because it feeds, people feed off of it. And I know anybody on this call that is veteran, you understand what I mean by sometimes we didn't want to even be there. But once we got started, we wanted to win, be the best, and be the greatest in that moment. And I would suggest that you bring that same type of attitude, because I've seen it grow by me using that type of attitude in my delivery of myself and what I know to other employees, my fellow employees here at the CTA. So bring that leadership and that attitude that we always get right when it starts. It's on now. I'm going to be the best I can be at this moment and this time and what I'm doing.
Thank you. Deanne, would you like to add to that?
What I would like to add to that is there is a level of challenge. Every day is something new, just like every deployment that you've ever had or every military unit that you went to is a new challenge for you. There's always a new challenge at CTA every day.
All right, thank you so much. Deanne, Brian, I loved hearing about your experiences here at the CTA and as a veteran. I'd like to move, Brandon, actually, can you switch to the next slide? Now we will move into some questions. If you have any questions for our veterans or any general questions about our hiring process, please write them down in the Q&A function. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Delon, that will be able to answer and give some questions. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panelists and our recruiter for these great presentations, great conversations so far. I do have a couple of questions that I would love to ask kind of about, first, our panelists, our guests who are here today. Kind of a similar question to the one that Marite just asked, but instead of advice you would give to someone considering a career with CTA, what advice would you give to someone who's just started a career at CTA? So what's the fastest way for someone to learn to navigate kind of the organization in order to be successful at their new role?
I don't offer an answer to that. I'll talk about myself. When I first started, it was only 8 years ago, and I was manager working a shift. My advice would be to learn that job. It's easy, and what I heard the first weeks of my employment here at the CTA is a lot of other managers that were managers at the level that I was saying how they would do it if they were in charge, or how they would do it if they were the senior manager or the general manager. And most of the time, they weren't too focused on being the best manager one they could be. So my suggestion would be, just as I did when I started, I listened and observed intensely, but I wanted to, right out of the gate, become the best manager at the position I was hired at, or the best person at that position that I was hired at. When we sometimes escape that, as we were taught in the service, and going past the rank and the responsibility that we have, we tend to forget to do the things in that role that we're in. So my suggestion would be to concentrate on your position and what you were hired for, and becoming the best at that position.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we have another question that just came in. Will these slides be available for download after the career fair? The attendees will receive a recording of the presentation following the fair. So again, we thank you for being with us today. So you'll be able to reference this information. And a lot of the information that was covered during the presentation portion of the slides are also available on our career site. So if you visit transitchicago.com/careers, we have all that information and more listed on that site, including a connection to our current job openings that are actively accepting applications, which goes into another question that came up. Someone said, I'm interested in a career with CTA, but I'm not a veteran. Can I still apply? And the answer is absolutely. We certainly welcome you to visit, again, our transitchicago.com/careers website. On that website, you can sign up for a profile. You can review all of our active positions right now that are accepting applications. If there's not a position on there that's that you're interested in, or looking to apply to, you can sign up for alerts so that when a position comes up that is a match for you, then you can be alerted to that job being posted. We post new positions every Friday. So we again welcome you to create a profile and or come back and check our website every Friday to see what new opportunities there are, and all are welcome to apply. Another question. Can you all speak a little bit more about the Veterans Employee Resource Group and what kind of support is offered through that?
Absolutely. As a member of the Veterans Employee Resource Group and on the board of one of the initial starters of the group, we get into so much. I could talk about it forever, but what our main goals are, making sure that veterans within the CTA understand their rights when it comes to ICERA and all of the state laws and requirements to them taking their drills and being away from work, and their rights of returning with their employment and so forth. That's our main focal goal, but we also participate in many outreach opportunities to help veterans within the city of Chicago, such as helping Toys for Tots, such as helping veterans hospitals, VA, and such as helping even with care packaging to other people. We're actually having a softball tournament. We're involved in a veteran softball tournament this weekend, but a lot of it is about outreach within our communities and just fellowshipping amongst our veterans. Sometimes you need to get with somebody who speaks your same language all the time, and that we've grown and gather a source of inspiration from other veterans as always. So that's what the VERG is all about. And we take on all members, and when you become a CTA employee, you will even get a prompt in your Oracle that will ask you, identify as a veteran, and you'll get information about the VERG all the time. But please, once you become a fellow employee of mine at CTA, come and join the VERG.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Another question that has come in, someone said, I submitted an application, but I haven't heard anything. How do I find out the status of my application? And to answer that, you can actually log into your candidate portal and see the status of any position that you've applied to. And if you haven't heard anything, sometimes it is because that we have not yet been able to review your application. We do receive quite a few, sometimes thousands of applications for each of our vacancies. So it does take us some time to review them all, but also be sure to check your email on a regular basis. A lot of our communication goes out through our applicant tracking system. So we will follow up for next steps via that applicant tracking system, oftentimes, if not a phone call, but mostly on email. So make sure that you've had a chance to take a look at the emails that are sent, which you can find through your candidate portal, as well as the email address that you signed up for when you submitted your application. To go along with that, someone else asked, how long does the hiring process take? So it does vary by job, but typically 4 to 6 weeks. That includes the time it takes to do testing, interviews, and the necessary pre-hire work. We will email you about any additional steps that you need to take. So any kind of delay in completing those actions that we request of you will result in kind of a delay in moving forward with the process. So we definitely request that you check in. If you are having trouble kind of navigating the sites, or you see the status, but you still aren't sure and you have additional questions, you can feel free to email us at ctacareers@transitchicago.com. That is our careers inbox. And we can then look a little bit further into your particular question to see if we can either answer it ourselves, or if there's another department that needs to be involved, that we can connect you to the right folks to help answer your questions. Another question for our panelists. Can you talk a little bit about the training opportunities at CTA, including opportunities that maybe you all have taken yourselves throughout your career here?
I'll say a little bit about that. When I got hired 23 years ago and ended up in the position for management, there was very little training in place. Throughout these years, I've noticed quite a few different, very effective training processes. We had a leadership program that was very instrumental in my decision to even apply for the management job and senior management job. So it gives you the classes will give you insight on sections that you're not aware of. So instead of you thinking, this is all CTA is, every class that you take, either it will be somebody in those classes that will help you to figure out what each section does, but they're all very informative. I've not taken a class since they started the Know and Grow that has not made me a better employee. Not to mention person. I've had some classes that gave me a whole new outlook on life.
Good. Absolutely. I just want to add that I've worked for, I think, 3 companies after I got out of service. And the CTA has one of the strongest learning and support departments. I mean, I took a college course in Microsoft Word, so I didn't think I needed to take their little weekly Microsoft Word class that they send out. And I took that, and I had forgot half of it that I learned in college, and learned about 6 new things. So something as simple as updating and refreshing yourself, there's so many opportunities to do so. And this comes directly to your email, and you can sign up and join. Most of them have the virtual aspect of them, where you can reach it without attending. So the opportunities are vast in being able to educate yourself, specifically with my department in bus maintenance, the training that involves becoming a mechanic here is in excess of almost 5 months of professional training on how to fix a diesel bus and a camera system on the bus, an adventure system on the bus, radio system on the bus. And it's quite integral training, and all that training is paid training. So you can't get better than that if you were to join the CTA. Most of the training is paid and it is exceptional in all departments and the jobs you may be hired in.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then I think we have time for maybe one or two more quick questions. Can you all talk a little bit about flexibility as far as it comes to work? Working at the CTA, working at an organization that runs 24/7, what are some things that, whether you're a veteran used to the work in the military or you're not, what are some tips or things about just making sure that someone is flexible when it comes to their work hours and locations at the CTA?
I'll take a little bit of that, but I'm sure Dion can assist. It's quite flexible depending on the department you work in, I would say. But I'm a focal of the maintenance department, where our union employees are able to pick their jobs and pick their time slots. I would see some of our more junior employees in the department, when they pick towards the end, the selection is not as vast as a person who's been here longer. So as your time grows at the CTA, you'll have the opportunity to adjust your shifts and adjust your time starts to compensate or to alleviate any personal issues that you may have, or how you may want to guide what you do on your off time. You can position yourself. And we also have other features such as SDO changes, where you can change your day off on something that's important going on, or come to work on your day off so you can be at something you can change with another employee, his shifts, as long as you all have equal qualifications. But that's in the bus maintenance department. I think most of our exempt jobs, which would be your management level positions, which Delon and her department probably can expound on better, are more focal to the 9 to 5 morning jobs. But most of the jobs that require the buses to move and the trains to move are 24 hours, and I believe they're picked adjusted jobs.
Excellent. And I don't want to cut you off, Dion. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think Brian covered it pretty good.
Okay, excellent. And definitely to Brian's point, for a lot of the general office positions, they are oftentimes going to be kind of set hours during the week. A lot of times 8:30 to 5, 8 to 5, somewhere in that range. But it can, of course, vary depending on the job classification, et cetera. So we certainly invite you all to look at all of our open opportunities. Reach out to us if you have further questions. And I think with that, thank you all so much for answering the questions that have come in so far. And I'm going to pass it back to Marite.
Right, thank you, Delon. Brandon, do you want to go to the next slide? All right, so we're actually going to wrap up now. We're coming up to 12:45. I would like to thank everyone once more for joining us today. If you want to learn more about CTA, about our people, about our culture, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. All you have to do is search Chicago Transit Authority, and that's where you get updates about what's happening throughout the authority. And you'll also get updates on, what we're hiring for, a lot of job opportunities. But thank you again, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you. Good luck. Have a great day.